Hi everyone, and welcome to another Maker Monday session. Today we're going to make a fluffy pom-pom that you can use to hang up as a decoration at home or attach to a backpack or use for really whatever you'd like. And these are really fun and simple to make, so you can make lots of different colored pom-poms to decorate your room. So let's have a look at what we'll need for this activity. So the first thing that we'll need is some wool. So you can use any color that you choose. I'm going to make a beautiful bright green pom-pom with you today. We also need a piece of cardboard. So I've just cut a piece of cardboard out of an old cereal box, so you could use a tissue box, just whatever you've got around the house. We also need two items to be able to trace some circles. So I'm going to use a mug to trace a larger circle and a coin to trace a smaller circle. And I'll show you what that means in the tutorial today. You also need a pencil or a marker to trace your circles. And finally, a pair of scissors. Now there is a little bit of tricky cutting in this craft, so grab an adult to help you just with the little tricky bits. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Okay, so starting with my piece of cardboard, I'm going to take my mug, which is my larger circle, and I'm going to use the bottom of the mug and trace two circles onto my cardboard. Now you can use any size circle for this activity. Just keep in mind that the size of the circle that you use will be the size of the pom-pom. So the larger circle you use, the more wool you will need for your pom-pom. So tracing two circles onto the sheet of paper. What we're going to do next is cut those circles out. So grab your scissors. I have my two circles cut out now. So what I need to do is take my smaller circle. So I'm using a 10-cent coin for this. And I want to place it in the center of the larger circle, as close to the center as you can get it. And take the pencil and we're just going to trace around the coin. And you've got your smaller circle in the larger circle. Now what we need to do is cut out this smaller circle. So we want to make a cut from the outside of the large circle to the inner circle like this. And then use your scissors to carefully cut around this center circle. And you can grab an adult if you need a little bit of help with this. There we go. Now to make sure that we have the smaller circle placed in the same part of this second circle, what I'm going to do is just place one circle on top of the other like that, and then use this as a guide. So I'll just pop it down so I can see where the hole in my first circle is, and I can use that to trace a circle of the same size in my second larger circle. So we'll do the same thing with this one. So taking our scissors and cutting in, and then cutting around that smaller circle. So now you should have two identical circles, and what we need to do now is place them one on top of the other, lining up that cut. And we just need to cut a little access point for our wool so that it's easy for us to wrap this circle in wool. So you can take your scissors again, and near where the cut is, just make another cut about 1 centimeter out. So now we have this kind of C shape, and this will allow us to thread our wool in and out. So now we're ready to grab our wool and begin wrapping our pom-pom. Okay, so I've lined my two circles up on top of each other. So all we need to do now is take our wool and just begin to wrap. So wrap over and under. And I'm using that little gap in the circle to take the wool in and out. So I'm going to wrap this first section of wool a couple of times just to secure it. And you need to make sure when you're wrapping over the circle, over the top part, this part here, just go as free-handed as you can. So what I mean by that is don't pull this part of the wool too tightly when you're wrapping, because what we'll need to do at the end is actually get our scissors and cut along this top of the pom-pom. So we don't need it to be too tight. Now I'm going to keep wrapping until my circle is completely covered in the wool. And depending on how fluffy or thick you want your pom-pom, that will determine how many layers of wool you need to do. So the more wool that you wrap, the more layers of wool that you wrap around your pom-pom, the fluffier your pom-pom will be. So if I just wrap once like this, that's one layer. So if we want to do more than one layer, we just need to keep going back over the first piece of wool that we put there. And that's what I mean by layers. So I'm going to continue wrapping my pom-pom and then we'll come back. Okay, so my pom-pom is now fully wrapped and this is about probably 10 to 12 layers. So you can keep going and make it a little bit fluffier if you'd like. What I'm going to do now is just trim off the piece of wool from the big ball of wool. So just cutting off a little length. And if you're wanting to hang this up really high, you can cut a longer piece, or if you don't want to hang this at all, you can cut it really short and just tie it off. So I'm also going to cut another length of wool, probably about 20 to 30 centimeters long, and we're going to use that in a minute. So grab your pom-pom. Now this is the trickiest bit of this craft. So grab an adult to help you with this, and the sharper the pair of scissors you can get for this part, the better. So we're going to take our scissors and we need to get our scissors between both of those cardboard circles, and we want to trim around the top of the circle of our wool. So grab your scissors, place them between both the pieces of cardboard, and I'm just trimming around that circle. Now it may be a little bit tricky and you might have to do a little bit of maneuvering, so that's why it's really good to have an adult help you with that part. So you can see my wool is sticking out now on both sides as I'm trimming around. So I'm going to continue to cut all the way around that circle and then we'll come back. Okay, I finished cutting between the two cardboard circles and this is the result. So we've got lots of fluffy pom-pom. So I'm just keeping my hand in that entry point so that all my wool stays inside the pom-pom. Now we're going to take that piece of wool that we cut earlier, about 20 to 30 centimeters long. And what you need to do is place that wool in between those two layers of cardboard. So again, this part's a bit tricky. Maybe you can have an adult just help you hold on to the pom-pom. So we're wanting to maneuver that piece of wool between both the pieces of cardboard. I'm going to pop my pom-pom upside down and just pop it down on the table and open it up so you can see. We're going all the way through until that piece of wool joins in the middle, and then we want to tie it in a knot. So I've got both my sides of wool here. I'm going to tie it in a knot just to hold my pom-pom together. So there's one tie. So you can see it's going between the two pieces of cardboard. And I'm going to tie it just a couple of times just to really secure my pom-pom. Because what we're going to do next is take off our pom-pom maker. So you can see now that I've tied that piece of wool in the center, my pom-pom's staying together really nicely. So now it's time for you to take off those cardboard C-shaped circles. And there we have our basic pom-pom shape. Now you can see that it is looking a little bit straggly. So all you have to do now is just neaten it up. So I'm going to take my scissors and just trim the longer pieces off my pom-pom. Now this does get a little bit messy, so it can be a really good idea to put some newspaper down or a container just to catch that excess wool. Now it's up to you. You might like your pom-pom to be a little bit shaggier, or you might like it to be really nice and trimmed. So continue trimming around your pom-pom until you are happy with the results. That's looking pretty good. I think I might want mine to be a little bit shaggier. Now, if you're wanting to hang it up, you can leave these long bits on, or you can trim that excess piece of wool off as well. So there we have our beautiful fluffy pom-poms. Thanks for joining me for today's activity. I hope you had as much fun as I did. And don't forget, you can visit our website or YouTube channel to watch previous Maker Monday craft sessions. We'll see you back here next week for another fun activity. See you then.